If you can hear me, can you just use a thumbs up to indicate that you can hear me very well? Um, and oh, very good. Elijah, welcome. So how about others? Are you with us? Oh, very good Sunday. Um, um, Rias, Yusuf, I believe, these are guys that were available yesterday. All right, so today, because actually we have a lot of things to cover today, so let's just get into it. So yesterday, we talked about the theoretical aspect of data analysis, where we cover some um, sections like data analysis process, and now I mentioned the 6 steps of data analysis, from your curiosity to data collections, data preparation, exploration, analysis. Before you now end it with the conclusion, which also include presentation and interpretation. So, right, and we also look at um, types of data analysis, which I mentioned that we have just 4 types of data analysis, basically descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. So descriptive deals with what has happened, why diagnostic is about why did it happen? So trying to like dig deeper into why it happened, and predictive is talking about what will happen in future, and of course, prescriptive is now telling us what should we do in this case. Based on what had happened. And of course, we also look at some tools in data analysis where we explain why we need each of these tools, what do we use Excel for. Why explaining this as well, I also mentioned that there are 2 major types of data analysis. One of them is statistical data analysis, and the other is visualization data analysis. And I also give examples of, tools that we use for statistical data analysis, like SPSS, eViews, MATLAB, and the likes. While there are some softwares that they have like a very good strength in visualization data analysis, such as Power BI, Tableau, Click View, and all of these BI tools. So basically, that's just one of the things that we covered. And we also explain what SQL means. It's just like a computer language that we use to extract data, and we don't use it for any data analysis. In fact, SQL is not only used by data analysts, data engineer, software developers, this kind of people also use SQL. So it's not really about just analyzing data. We don't use SQL for that. We only use it like to query data from the database or from the cloud. And while we are trying to explore data visualization yesterday, we mentioned different kind of charts that we always use for data visualization. I mentioned that out of the statistical data analysis and visualization data analysis that we have, our major focus for this course is going to be on visualization data analysis. And I've also explained what bar chart is used for, when do you have to use a line chart, pie chart, and maps. So, and of course, today is not for us to cover the practical aspect of it. And I mentioned that, for to make things easier for us, we already have like a dashboard that we can use to simulate. We just need to like duplicate this in exact dashboard. However, because of time, this particular design, it's going to like take more than we can actually expend. So in that case, we are going to do the other one, which is it is still the same data, just presentation. Don't forget I mentioned that the end of the funnel is conclusion, presentation, and interpretation. So presentation can come in any form. Just ensure that whatever presentation that you're trying to do, your client understands what all of these things mean. Don't just put all of them together and then buckle them up. It must be something that, must be understandable. It must something that has to like communicate insight. So even though most of you probably are like a beginner or you're like a newbie in data analysis, just seeing this kind of dashboard, we should be able to tell some stories, right? So that is what we are saying. Regardless of anybody, like just assume that non-technical person is going to be checking your dashboard. So it must be able to communicate properly to that person. Not like they have to like have like a very hard time to now start, looking at you. So presentation can differ, but regardless of how you design or how you present it, you should be able to like there must be a very good impression in the first place. And there must also be, it must tell the story, right? It must be catchy. You can see that there are some numbers that are bigger than the other ones. So, like for instance, now this one, now we call them bands, big number. And you can see that they are just big for some reasons, while other ones are not that big. So this is telling us that these are like the key indicators. So all of these things they have reasons, and you can see that they blend. Everything blends with each other. You can see that another thing that most of my students or people that I've taught before always also you know have difficulties on is knowing color combinations when you are presenting your data. So you can see that the only color that I use here is just two, basically, apart from the natural color like white and black. The major color that I use here is just this yellow and green, nothing else. So some people will now use like 50, like 5, 10 colors, different colors. It just looks somehow. So always learn how to combine your colors. Is part of your presentation. You can also see the alignment as well. This is aligning with this side. Everything is, I mean, you can see this, all of these shapes, they are all aligning with each other. So aligning also give beauty to your analysis. Anyways, we will not be working with this, but I just want to show you that you can also do something like this in Excel. I mean, if time permits, I would have loved us to have done this. But once you understand what I also want to, the other one here, this one, the same concept is what you are going to use for this one. So you just, exploring more. So, but let's just guess that you understand what I'm trying to say. So this is the kind of data set that I'm going to be using. It is still the same data set that we use for the dashboard that I just showed you as well. So this is the data set that we're going to be working on. And we are going to use this particular data set to create our, what's it called, your dashboard. So I'm also going to share this particular data set with us. By tomorrow, there won't be class. So we expect that by tomorrow, you should use that for your own dashboard creation. And by Friday, everybody is going to have a presentation, and your own presentation have to be different from the other person's presentation and must be different from your own design. So everything must be different. So we just want to ensure that everybody understands it. When we get there, I'm going to explain. So let's just see this data set. It's as simple as this. So you could see that for this first column here, we have the date, right? We have the customer. By just looking at this kind of data set, it is very hard to read. This is the data already. We have like 6 processes, right? We have the data curiosity, what's it called again? We also have data collection, preparation. See, this first one, curiosity, collection, and preparation. Let's assume that they've passed through all of these 3 stages, right? We are now in this fourth stage. The reason I'm saying that is that you can see that this particular data is already it has been collected, and at the same time it has been prepared. So now we just have to like do some kind of transformation and then explore relationship, right? Let's look at patterns and relationship before we now start doing our analysis. So that is just what we are trying to do now. So you can look at this particular first, this column, we call it column in Excel. Each of these ones that are called rows. These are column, and all of these ones that are called rows. So this column that we have, right, when you have a particular data set like this, each of these column, we call them, you can either call them features, or you can call them variable, right? So each of these columns, you can call them variables. So dates, customer, segment, city, state, country, and the likes, you can call them variables or you call them features. Why each of these rows in a particular data set, each of all of these rows, right, we call them observations, or you can call them records, right? Observations. So row, observation, or records, column, variables, or what? Features. Now, for this first feature or first variable that we have in this data set, so combination of all of these things makes up a data set. A data set is like a combination of rows and column, or combination of like an observations and also variable. So that is what we call data set. So the first variable that we have here is the date. We also have customer, segment, city. Now, one of the rule of thumb when you are trying to transform your data, whenever you have been presented with a particular data set, you must always check for possible transformation. You must not assume that your data has been cleaned, that is already clean and is transformed, it is all right. You must always, it is compulsory, like it's like normal, like rule, like normal thing. If you are a professional data analyst, you must always check for transformation and errors here and there before you start doing any analysis, right? So now I'm trying to explore. I want to look at where probably I can see some errors that we can quickly clean, right? So when there are a lot of ways to clean your data. You cannot even learn it finish. There are many ways to do it. So you learn it like step by step, right? You cannot go, even though if you go to YouTube, you cannot see a single video that will not say these are ways to clean data. I mean, like it's not like you can't find a single and holistic approach to cleaning the data because data sets always have their own form. Different data sets with its own forms. So what they are going to teach you is that they will teach you some ways you can clean data, like maybe like checking for duplicates or like looking for the data types or maybe looking for errors like maybe not available or empty cells. All of these things, they are one of those ways that we use to clean data. So you will not be the one to say, okay, you have your own data set. Then among all of those ways that you've known, which best fits the cleaning of your own data set? So do you get, so that this is not like a cramming something. You just have to know all of those things. You can't cram and say, okay, because you've known these particular ways, that particular ways that me I'm going to use to clean this particular data set may not work for your own data set. That is why it is important that you must understand that all of those ways. Then whenever you're not faced with a particular data set that you need to clean, you can now explore different ways to clean that data based on what you are trying to achieve. So this first column, which is the variable, is a date. So one of the first things I would like to do when you are trying to check a data also is that you are going to look at the data types, right? So we have different data types. Yesterday or some days ago, I mentioned that we have numeric, which is quant, and we also have qualitative data type. Now, if you should mention that we have quantitative, under quantitative, we also have what we call numeric, number. Any other data type that is not of a number is what we call qualitative. So which means that it is safe to say that this date can also be called qualitative because it is not of a number, it is a date, right? So in Excel, if you know that this particular data set, this particular column must be a date, then you have to come to the Home tab. Then here, you are going to see data type. So you can change the data type to date by just clicking on that. By just clicking on this particular column, you are going to see something like short date, long date. If you should pick long date, it's going to show Monday, stuff like that. So, but this is short date, right? This is short date. If you should click on this other column, you can see that it's bringing general. However, I would like to set it as text because it's a qualitative and it is a text data type. So text is part of qualitative data type. Don't forget I mentioned that any other data type that is not of numbers are what we call qualitative. So text now, because this is talking about text, this is like a text. Everything here is text. They are talking about customer names. So they are in form of a text. So in that case, they are all, we call them that they have text data type. So for segments as well, so segment, city, state, country, region, I can just select all of them together because I want to set all of them to be a text data type. So I can just select them together, right, in Excel, just like I've just done. So I will just click on this general, right, then select text, just like that. So sales, quantity, discount, and profit, they are numbers. So I can just select them and they'll come here and select number, right? So some of them, I don't want them to have like two decimal places. Like for instance, now sales and quantity, I don't want them to have two decimal places. So I can just use this arrow, these two arrows. If I should use this one is going to be increasing the zeros. Why this one is going to be reducing the zeros? Do you get? So for this profit as well, I want to make it an whole number. So I'll just reduce it by using this. So that is one of those ways of cleaning your data, and we are done with that. So if you also check, um, although this is a short data set, we only have like 31 observations. Sometimes you can have like 1 million data sets, right? You can have like 10 million observations in your own case rather. So in that case, you should be able to, there are a lot of things that you need to learn, right, to be able to clean data. But because this is just a short period of time, we just want to give you we want to lay foundation and a path for you guys to now start building on your data analysis journey. That is why we are just trying to um streamline the entire process. So this is just like the 30 observation. Most likely, most times, in most cases, you'll be working on a particular data set that is more than 100, 200, 1,000, 1,000,000. Like there be many. So in that case, don't always assume that your data set will always be as short as this. So you should always check for errors. But this is already clean beyond the fact that we only change the data type. After that, I mean, this particular data type is already, this data set is already clean and we are okay, we are good to go, right? Now, don't forget that our journey is to create a particular dashboard that looks like this, right? We want to create something that is as fine as this in Excel. So how do we do that? So we have our data set here. The reason why we want to create an analysis, you guys don't forget, we are not creating analysis for creating sake. Nobody wants to stress each other. Like we don't even we don't want to do all of those stresses. But the only reason why we are doing analysis is because it's going to help us to demystify or to break down our data into a meaningful, insight. That's the only reason we are having data analysis. Now, if you should look at this particular data set now, if you should send this particular data set to a client that is even non-techie, they will be like, what's all of these things? They can't understand what is happening. But if you should send them something like this that summarizes everything, don't forget what descriptive analysis is. It helps you to summarize the entire data set into a clean way that at least they can know that, oh, their total sales is 96,000. Wow, wow, wow. Their profit is above 19,000. It will give them, but yeah, now, how will they know that, oh, their sales is, total to like $19,000? It's not clear. So you guys can see one of the reasons why we have to do analysis, right? To help us make an insight out of it. This is now they can now say, okay, maybe by consumer, in consumer they make 42,915, right? And their total quantity is 97. You can see that in 2011, their profits um increase, while their sales, the total sales also increase as well. But however, in 2012, while their sales is increasing in 2012, it reduced their profits reduced in 2012 for consumer segment. So they can be able to say, okay, maybe because of this and that, they will not be performing some kind of, decision making within internally. You can even say that according to region, the South region for consumer segment, they experience a negative profit. So which means that their cost is more than their sales, right? So all of these things are things that they can use to now make decision from there and then look at what is going to be the next step. But with this particular data set, they can't do that. How would they know that in segment? How do they even want to know? With it's not just it's going to be two columns here and cumbersome. So I believe that you guys now know the reason why we are doing analysis. So don't just say you want to be a data analyst without understanding what you want to do, right? Because I've seen people saying, "Yeah, I've gone to Udemy, I've gone to Coursera, I've gone to this and that." Then I know it theoretically, but anytime I now got and I have the access to the data set, I don't even know where to start from. That is you, right? Don't just forget everything about analysis first. As a beginner, what I always advise is that have your own pen and book before you even start doing anything. Explore. You can see that I mentioned it here, data exploration. Before you start doing any analysis, explore your data. Look for pattern. Pattern is telling you that pattern is going to be the one that's going to tell you that, okay, what if I should look at region against sales? Or I should look at region against profits. You must have done that. All of those assignments, put them in a pen. Looking at this particular data set, which one will be best to compare? Like, what kind of relationship do you want to check? What if you should check country by profit? You must, like, all of those things, you must have do all of those things in your mind, right? Before you now say, okay, you want to start, drawing charts, putting one chart and diagram together. And don't forget that all of those things so that you want to put in your pen will come from your understanding or your curiosity. Everything has to come from your objective. So if the curiosity of the company is that they are making low sales, then in your own case, you have to look, okay, definitely you have to do maybe like total sales against maybe segment to show them that, okay, this is the particular segment where you are making low sales. That is coming from where? It's coming from their objective, their curiosity. So you can see, like I mentioned, everything has to come from your definition of data analysis. If you don't know the definition of data analysis, please, you have to know it. It's going to help you a lot because there's a lot of concepts, a lot of things that you're going to learn in data analysis. But if your foundation is very strong, forget about it. Anything will just come their way. So let's see how to now do that dashboard. Now, when you want to create a dashboard, let me see if I have that particular steps here. Okay. Okay, it's not here. It's not here. So if you want to create a dashboard in Excel, there are like 3 to 4 steps that you have to follow. Right. The dashboard is what you actually want to create. That's the end of the that's the end, right? That's what you're trying to achieve. You want to create a dashboard. Now, before you can create a dashboard in Excel, you must have a report. Please and please, if you have a pen or a note, try to jot all of these things. Before you can create a dashboard in Excel, you must have a report. Before you can have a report in Excel, you must have a pivot table, right? Before you can have a pivot table in Excel, you must have a table. Before you can have a table in Excel, you must have a data set. That's like 5 steps, right? Before you can create a dashboard, which is like the end line, right? In Excel, you must have what we call reports. Before you can create a report, you must have what we call pivot table. Before you can create a pivot table, you must have what we call a table. Before you can create a table in Excel, you must have your data set. So it's from a data set to a table, from a table to pivot table, from pivot table to report, from report then to dashboard. In fact, combination of different reports is what we call dashboard. For instance, now, in this particular dashboard that we have here, this sales alone, this particular one, as you are seeing, this one, it is a report. This profit that you are seeing here, it is a single report. This quantity is a report. All of these things, they are reports because we now combine all of them together in a single page. We now call it a dashboard. Now, before you can get a report in Excel, you must have a pivot table. Before you can get a pivot table, you must have a table. Before you can get a table, you must have a data set. Now, thanks to God, we already have our data sets, right? These are our data sets. So what else do we have to do now? We now have to transform this data set into a what? Into a table. So once we now get a table, then we can now create our pivot table. Once we now create our pivot table, then we can now create a report. We now combine all of those reports together to form a what? A dashboard, and we are done. You can see that Excel and data analysis is very interesting. Just straightforward. Just 5 steps, we are good to go. So the point about data analysis is not hard. Data analysis is not hard if you, get someone or, you can just put something into steps, into pattern, right? Step by step. If you should follow it right, everything is good. You are good to go. So now this is a data set, right? Let me name this particular sheet I have here. Let me name it as data set. So these are data sets, right? These are sheets. Now, because we want to create a dashboard, we need a report, and the report needs pivot table, and a pivot table needs a table. So since we already have our data set, then we can transform it to a what? To a table. How do you do that? You must highlight all of your data sets. Highlight them. So now, because sometimes you can have like 1 million data set, 10 million, 50 million. It can be as much as that though. You cannot say you want to be highlighting like this, right? It will take a lot of time. However, what you can do is that come to the first record or the first cell here, this first cell, then press, if you are using a PC, press Control and Shift together on your keyboard, then press the right arrow key. You can see that has highlight everything at the top, right? Now again, press Control and Shift again, then press the down. You have to press them together. You have to hold both Control Shift together. Then you now press the down arrow key. So now you can see you've been able to select all the data sets at the same time at once. Easy peasy, right? Then you cannot press Control T on your dashboard, sorry, on your keyboard if you are using a PC. I think Command T for Mac, right? So just press Control T. Now it's going to bring this dialogue, and this dialogue is very important, like highly important. How important is this particular dialogue? Now, what this dialogue is saying is that does your table has an header? It is very much important that you have to ensure that this particular box here is checked. Like there's a mark in this checkbox, it must be marked. The reason is because this date, customer, segments, and the likes, they are the headers that we have in this particular data set. If you do not check it, it's going to assume that they are also part of the data set themselves, whereas they are not. They are just like header. So then press OK. So once you press OK, then that's able to transform it to a table. And you'll be able to see, what's it called here? You'll be able to see table design. You can see before it was not here. But because we've already changed this particular data set to a table now, you'll be able to see something like table design. So under this table design, you can even rename your table and say maybe like Jamis table, but there must not be space, or just say Jamis table. I've renamed my table name under the table design, right? So now that we've known that, how do we now? We've now created our table, right? So that means that we are done with 2 steps out of 5 steps. We've already gotten the data set. From data set, we now get the table, which is what we are looking at on my screen. Now, from the table, now what do you now have to do? We have to create what we call a pivot table, right? So how do you create a pivot table? If you want to create a pivot table, once you already have a table in Excel, just select any part of that table, any part of it, anywhere, just select it. Then go to your Insert tab, right? Now, there's one thing I want you guys to know. Before I proceed, I want to create a new sheet here. So this new sheet, I want to call it a report, because that is where we are going to drop our pivot table. That is why I have to quickly create that sheet. And let's go back. Like I was saying, just click on any of this table, any part of the table. Then click on the Insert tab. Then by your left hand side here, you're going to see something like pivot table, right? Then click on From Table and Range. Automatically, because you've already selected part of that table, it's going to help you highlight everything within that table, right? Because you see all of them as a table. Now it's going to bring this dialog. Don't forget that when we created the table initially, we changed our name to Jamie's table. That is why you are seeing Jamie's table here. You can have another table by the side that you can give it maybe, ABC table. So here now that we have Jamie's table, then it's now asking us that where do we want to place the pivot table? Do we want to place it in a new worksheet that we've not even created at all? So in Excel, whenever you open a new file in Excel, it is called a worksheet or a workbook. Now, this one is now asking me that they want to place it in a new worksheet. That is an entire worksheet that is different from this particular worksheet that I'm currently working on. Now, because I don't want to be like making things complicated for myself, I can place it inside this existing worksheet that we already have. So I'm now saying I want to place it inside existing worksheet, and now select existing worksheet. Then it's now asking me that where in particular within this existing worksheet do I want to place it. That is the location. Now, because I've already created a sheet called report, I will now select report. Then I'm going to click on any part of it. Let's say I want to place it here. I will just select where I want to place it, and I will press OK. Do you see? We already have our pivot table. Easy peasy. Now, this pivot table now, what this one is telling us is that you can see that by your right hand side, once you create a pivot table, by your right hand side, you'll be able to see different headers. That was because don't forget that when we were trying to create a table the other time, it asked us that does our table has an header? What do we say? We said yes. Now, because we already say it has an headers, that is why it was able to recognize those things as headers, then display them here. Do you see all of these things here? They are the headers that we already specified in the dataset sheet. So if you do not do that, then you'll not be able to see all of these things. So now that we have our pivot table, then don't forget that what we are trying to do is that we want to try to create a report out of the pivot table. Don't forget our 5 steps from data set to table, from table to what? Pivot table, from pivot table to report, then from report, now have what? Dashboard. So we've already created our pivot table now. Now we want to generate a particular report from that pivot table. So the report that we want to generate, I mentioned that each of these one that you are seeing here, they are known as reports, each of them. So now we are trying to simulate the same dashboard. So this particular one that is here now is a report, total sales. So let's try to create that particular report here too. So I'll just select sales because we have headers here. I just want to select sales. So by default, now there are headers here, right? By this right hand side here, you also see filter, column field, row field, and values field. Automatically, once you select a number, right, that is, if your column, this is sales, right? If this one is a number data type, Excel we already know that, oh, it is a number. That is why it is important that you must give them a particular data type. So that when you get here, you are not going to have any issue. So because we already know that, oh, Excel already know that this particular one is a number, then once you click on it, it's going to place it at the right field, which is the values field. But I should select country now, because country is a state, is a text. Excel is going to help me to place it at the right place because I've already specified that is a text data type. So please be very careful of that. So now that we have sum of sales, I would like to change it to something like total sales. So I'll just come here and just say total sales. And here I want to make it I want it to have like comma 96,040. And I also want it to have like a dollar sign. Just press on this dollar that is here. Right. So I don't want it to have like 2 decimal places. I will just remove the decimal places by just using this one here. And check out, we are done already. Easy peasy. So now we already have one report. Now we have to also create second report, which is what? Total profit. Then I have to come back here again. Right. Then come to my data set. What do? Press anywhere within the table. Then come to insert. Then click on pivot table from table or range. It's going to ask you, is it existing worksheet? Yes. Then come to report. So let's say I want to place it here. Then press OK. We also have the same thing. So in this case, we want to choose profit. It was able to place profit here because we've already set that profit is a number data type. So here I can change it to something like total profit. And this number, I would like to also put it as dollar. Then I will now reduce the decimal number. That's it. Easy peasy. We already have like a second report. Our third report is what? Total quantity. How do we do that as well? The same process. Come to data set, select any part of the table, come to insert, pivot table, from table or range, then click on existing worksheet, come to your report. Let me move this dialog. Let's say I want to place it here. Then okay. So we have quantity. I will just press quantity. Because quantity is also a number, it was able to place it here. However, I don't want this title to be like this. I want it to be quantity. Now, you guys are going to see that we're going to get an error. And I will tell you why. Now, I've removed the sum of, and now I'm not left with just quantity. If I should press enter, we get error. It is telling us that pivot table field name already exists. The reason is because I'm trying to give this particular title here, this heading name, the same name that we already have here. There's quantity here already. I'm not trying to like replace this one again with quantity. So it is saying that name has already exists, right? Unlike this one that we are seeing total sales, because this one is just sales, but total sales is different from sales. But this one, because there is quantity here, there is quantity here, they are the same thing. So it's saying that name already exists. So what can we do? If we still want it to be quantity. So what you can do is that you can put a space, just a space in front of that quantity. Then you're good to go. So for this one, I don't want to put it in a comma. I just want it to be like this. Now, we are done with the third report. Now, if you want to do the fourth report, you can see that we have to like do the same process again. And let me tell you something, as a data analyst, professional data analyst though, as a beginner, you don't have to be lazy. But as a professional data analyst, it is good for you to be lazy. Right? Lazy in the sense that you should always find the possible or the shortest way to do something. This is the tech age. You must be efficient. Find possible ways to do things in a very easy and straightforward way. Instead of us going through all of those routes, saying and going to data set, select a table, insert, pivot table, because we already have a pivot table here already. We can just copy one of them. Control C, just select the entire pivot table. Then come here and say Control V. That's already helped us to copy it. Now for this one, because we are not talking about quantity again, we want to generate a particular another report, which is sales by country. So what we just do is that we come here, then we are going to remove the quantity, then we are going to select sales and country. Do you see? So we don't have to go through all of those routes and see the insert pivot table, existing worksheet, place it here, place it that. We don't want to do all of those things. So do you now see that we have something like this already, right? However, you will notice that in our report that we are trying to do, there are only top 10 country by sales. We only have top 10. But if you look at my own reports here, we have about 50 to 20. So how can we just select top 10? So to do that, select your pivot table, right? Then come to this, just so select this drop down icon, then come to value filters, right? Just select value filters, then you're going to see something like top 10. So click on top 10. So we are trying to do top 10 items by sales. Top 10 item by sales. So if I should click on OK, I'll be able to see only the top 10 items. So similarly, I want to do another report. I can copy. You can copy this one as well, but this one is long. Don't forget, as a data analyst, professional one, you should be lazy. Look at the smallest or the easiest way to do things. Instead of me to copy this long one, I can just copy this short one. So the next report is profit by region. So I'll just come here and just deselect this one. And I'm going to select profit, and then I will select region as well. Do you see? This one is long. I will not copy it. Let me just copy this one that is short. So come here and we're going to have our last report, which is what? The profit and sales over the years. So profit and sales over the years, then that means that we are going to select this. Then select profit, select sales. Now you guys should notice something. To do, we are looking for profit and sales for years, right? Over the years. Then in that case, where can we get the years? Because years is a date, right? You can only get the years from the date. You can only get the years from where? From the date. Now, you look at what is here, these headings. There's nothing like years, there's nothing like months, there's nothing like quarters. But immediately I click on this other date. Look at something else. If I should just click on this now, what do you see here? We now have months, quarters, and years. The reason is because Excel has that intelligence. It was able to sense that out of this data, that we have here, just this one that is existing, it does not add any data to it though. Just this particular one that we are working on. It was able to sense that there is a month, there are quarters, and there are years. That is why it is giving us all of these options, right? And we now have like plus icon too. From here, you can move to quarter. From quarter, you can move to a particular month. And from a month, you can move to a particular date for this particular item that we have. However, don't forget our report says we only want profits and sales over the years only. Years only. So what do we do in that case? So in that case, what we can do is that we can remove the months because we don't need it. We can also remove the quarter because we don't need it. I will now come to this other date itself because we've already selected. That's supposed to select years. Then I'm going to remove this other date. And that's it. Easy peasy. So we have the sales and profit over the years because we only have 4 years, so 2011 to 2014. And that's it. We are done with all of the report that we want to create. We are done with all of our reports. And that's the end of this particular report that we are working on. So it's still the same idea, even though we have like many things that we want to work on. For instance, now I'll give you the assignment, which you are going to be presenting on Friday. You must not. So the point is that you can create your own, depending on what you think is, like you have to explore the data set. Then you can come up with possible relationship. In your own case, in my own case now, I did sales and profits over the years. In your own case, you can say you want to do sales and profits over the quarters, right? In your own case, you can say you want to know the total quantity against maybe the region and segment. I mean, just walk around things. Look for possible, meaningful exploration. I mentioned the word meaningful because you should create, don't forget that what we are trying to do, we are not just doing analysis for analysis sake. We are trying to understand our data, summarize our data in a way that we can use to generate a particular meaningful insight. So it is that insight that you're not trying to get. So look for possible relationship that can help you to generate an insight for your clients based on this particular data set. In your own case, when I give you the assignment, you can say you want to know maybe the state, the top 10 states against profit or sales, right? If you also notice that if you look at this particular data set now, they gave some people, some country, they gave them discount. And even with that discount, they still make a negative profit. Look at this one now, for instance, this United States, North Carolina. They gave this particular country, they gave them 40% discount. And with that discount, they even make like negative profit, right? Although their sales is increasing, but their profit is negative. That can be like a particular sensor to your clients. You can just do a summary and say, what I mean by summary is like a chart or a dashboard or a report that will now say, okay, you want to probably know discounts against profits and sales. You can use a single chart to do that. Then you now know for a particular country or a state or a segment or a region, why you want to know whether discounts really have effect on profit and sales. Even here that they did not give them discount, zero discount, their quantity increase and at the same time their sales and profits also increase. And if you look at this one, 10, they give them 10, 40, 20, their profit is just reducing compared to this one that they don't even give them discount. So that is to say that probably discount does not really count. Does not really, it's not like maybe like a big or significant influence on whether they buy or not. Or maybe there are other reasons to it that the stakeholders have to now start sitting on. Do you see the way I even explain everything now to myself? So when you want to create your own analysis to explain this particular data set to yourself first, understand it, explore, create patterns and relationships before you start drawing any charts. Put your pen, try to note all of these things now. This is things that you may not be able to hear from any other person. I'm telling you the truth. Always explore patterns and relationships. Don't just go straight to drawing charts because you want to impress somebody. Everything has to be fine. The color have to match, blah, 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 blah. If the color is matching and they are fine and it's not making sense, what is not the point? Always make sense out of the data by exploring your data, driving patterns and relationship out of them. So now that we have our reports, we really have one thing left, which is what? Creating the dashboard. And what did I say? Combination of different reports makes up what? A dashboard. You already have the report. And the reason why we don't want to report like this is because even why with this too that we have here, it is not really clear compared to if you have like a dashboard that summarizes everything such that it can tell a story. Okay, from total sales to total profit, then we can now filter by segment. We can see the profit and sales over the years. That's going to tell us like a story. It's going to communicate some things to us, not just like creating the report itself. So just like we did for data set and reports, I would also like to create a sheet where that's going to help us to undo our dashboard. And that's going to be like the last sheet that we are going to create. Now, mind you, whenever you are trying to create a dashboard, you must always create dashboard for possible reports that are similar to each other. For instance, now don't forget I said dashboard is the combination of different reports. So sometimes you may want to create a sales dashboard. Or sometimes you may want to create like a customer dashboard, or you may want to do something like maybe category or locational based dashboard. In that case, you can have different sheets that is going to represent each of the dashboard that you want to create. So that all of the report that you want to combine together is going to fit a particular dashboard. If you want to create a sales dashboard now, it means that all the thing that you want to create, all the report that you want to bring together must be related to sales. If you want to create customer dashboard, it means that all the report that you want to bring together must be related to something called customer. So you can have different sheets. Don't say you have to now put everything together in a single dashboard. It will not tell a very good story. You now put performance dashboard or performance report. You put join it with customer report. You now join it again with maybe category with everything now just scatter item. It doesn't really make sense. So you can have different dashboard depending on your objectives or your curiosity. I still remember. I still like mention that again. Everything depends on those 6 steps. So now we want to create a dashboard that looks like what we have here. But before I do that, I want to use 2 to 3 minutes to take questions or to like see if you guys are still following, because that's like the last step that we just want to do, and that's going to be the end of our class for today as well. So let me hear from you guys. Are there questions, comments before we start creating our dashboard? Do you have like comments, suggestions? The dashboard should take us like probably like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to create. So let me just at least use 2 to 3 minutes to like take questions, suggestions, feedbacks from what we've done so far. Are there any parts that you feel you do not really get that you just want me to quickly like recap before we start creating dashboard? To make things very fast as well, if you already understand, so now we'll not be waiting for feedbacks. You can use a thumbs up to also show that you are getting there. Nobody's saying anything. Can you all hear me?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
During the time when you are creating that report,
Yeah.
my network is glitching, so I didn't get quite all right all the report that you have created. I don't get the concept actually. So
Oh.
can you make some revision so that I can able to understand it better?
All right. So for the report that we are trying to create, right? Like I mentioned, to create a report, you must have a table and a pivot table, right? That's what is going to aid you in creating a perfect reporting, and that's this combination of different report that is going to give you a dashboard. So to create a report, since we already have our table, right? Just select anything, any part of the table, then click on Insert, click on Pivot Table, from Table Arrange, then click on Existing Worksheet, then press on maybe where you want to place them, either here or anywhere. Then press OK, and that's your pivot table. Then you can select.
Please, can you take that step again? You seem to be very fast with it, and I'm not getting it.
Oh, so this is the step. Select any part of the table, right? Then click on the Insert tab. So by your left hand side, you will see Pivot Table. Just click on it. Then click on From Table or Range. So it's going to show a dialog. So for this particular dialog, it's going to ask you, do you want to place your pivot table in a particular new worksheet or in an existing worksheet? So click on existing worksheet, because we like to place it inside this particular worksheet that we are already working on, not a new worksheet entirely. So click on existing worksheet. Then it's going to ask for location. That is, where exactly in this particular existing worksheet do you want to place it? Then we want to place it in the report sheet. Specifically, we want to place it here. So just select it. Within the report sheet, we want to place it here. Then once you are done, press OK. And we are done with our pivot table. So once you now have your pivot table, you can now create a report. So your report can be like, you want to know segments by, for instance, you can say you want to know sales by segment. So just select sales and select segment. if that is the report that you are trying to do. So do you get it now? If it is like customer name against maybe, profit or something, all of those things too, you can do it from here. So let me know, do you guys understand how to create a report now?
Yeah, quite all right. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Very good. So that is how to create a report. So you have to do it for each of the report that you're trying to create. Each of the report that you're trying to create once you are done. Just follow the same process, right? So now that we've created our reports, we want to create our dashboard that looks exactly like what we have here. ABC and Co sales dashboard. In your own case, it can be Elijah's dashboard, it can be Janu's dashboard, it can be, give it a name. This is just for practice. So let's come to dashboard here. So first of all, see, this dashboard is about designing and then combining the report together. So, we are going to do a lot of design. So here, I'm going to explain some kind of tools in Excel to us. So there are some tools that we are going to learn during this process. So just follow along. So the first thing is that we want to have like a title, ABC and Co sales dashboard. I would like to have a title. So to have a title, I can come to insert. Then under the insert tab by your right hand side, you are going to see text. So once you click on text, you see text box. Then it's going to give you this kind of icon, something like this. Now you can see on my screen, this one I'm moving. Then you can just press your mouse, your left hand mouse, then drag it wherever you want it to be. And that's it. You already have like a text box. So you can now say ABC and Co dashboard. Or let's say sales dashboard. ABC and Co sales dashboard. Like this. Now, that should now click outside the box, that text box. You can see that this is not really matching what we really want to do. So we have to do some kind of formatting in Excel to make it like that. So click on the text box again. Then you can see that anytime you click on the text box, it will always blink. So we don't want it to always blink. So what do? You have to press anywhere outside the text box, anywhere. So let's say I click on this place or any of these points, you can click there. You can see that it's no more blinking, right? Then first of all, we want to change the font size, the font type, and the color of this particular text. So what do? Under the home tab, you see this font place where you can so I want to use Open Sans. In your own case, you might not be able to see Open Sans, but once you just type it, it's going to ask you that you want to add Open Sans to it, so you can click on yes. So, but I already have it in my system, so I'll just click on Open Sans. So you can use any other font. It can be just use anyone. Although there are some specific fonts that we always use for creating a dashboard. There's something like what's it called? Roboto. A lot of fonts. Just search online, right? You will see most of them. So, but most times I always use Open Sans, right? We also have Sequoia UI. I also use Sequoia and Sequoia UI sometimes. So you can bold in this. Let's just give it bold. I also want to increase the size. I can just press this one to increase the size. Then I can put that the center using this. Do you see? And yeah, because this particular shape, it is not blinking. This text box is not blinking at the moment. So in that case, I can also format the shape itself. And we should notice this shape, it has like an outline. You can see something like a grid, like a gray color that surrounds that shape all around. I don't want that kind of thing. So once I click on text box, it is blinking. I don't want it to blink. Click on this place or any part of the text box to not allow it to blink. Then click on shape format. Then you can click on shape fill. So let's say I want it to be something like green color, just like we have it there. Just give it green color. I don't want the outline. That outline is that line that surrounds it. So I don't want it to be there. I can just click on no outline. that's taking it away. Now, this ABC, if you should notice, it is a white color. So I will come back to my home tab. Then this particular color here, I will select white. Do you see? I can increase it more. Just depending on what you want, you can make it center. So you can see you have something like this. Just to format it the way you want. Also, you're going to notice that in this particular dashboard that we have, the rectangle that we have here has like a rounded corner around it, right? But in our own case, it's just like a normal rectangle. So we can change it to that kind of rounded corner as well. So ensure that it's not blinking. Come to shape format. Right. Click on your shape format. Then under this place here, just click on it. You can see change shape. So select this particular rectangle that is rounded corner. And once you select it, it's already rounded. But we want it to be more rounded, right? So you use this yellow circle that is there. Just click on it and drag. So depending on how you want it to be rounded, just drag. So it is now rounded to some extent. So we already have the title, just like that. I think this title is too big. Let me just reduce it a little bit. So you just give it anything. I mean, all of these things are things that you just have to see how you can do it in your own way, right? But let's tell the story. So now that we are done with this particular title, what else? We want to bring this report into the dashboard, right? We have our total sales, total profit, quantity, and you are going to notice that all of this one that we have, these first three, each of them, in fact, even with these ones, they have like a shape that surrounds them. Even this particular dashboard that we have here, you see some kind of shapes, right? Shape here, like a rectangle, like a rounded corner rectangle that surrounds all of them. So how can we do it? That all of these shapes. So what we call them wireframe. We call it wireframe. So wireframe is like something that you draw. Even before you start putting your report into the dashboard, you just have to draw it. It is that wireframe that is going to inform you how you want your dashboard to look like, right? That is what is going to inform you on how you want your dashboard to look like. So before you even start doing your analysis or putting your reports in your dashboard, it is always advised that you should first do your wireframe. You can even put it in a pen and a book first before you now start drawing it inside your Excel. So, but in this case, let's see how we can draw our own wireframe. All of these shapes. So what you can do is that come to your dashboard, then come to insert. Now you are going to see illustrations. If you don't see illustration, you can check for shapes. So in my own case, I'll click on illustration, then I'll click on shapes. Then I'll click on this particular rounded corner rectangle. So I will now drag it. I will drag it based on how I want it, because I want to draw like three, right? I want to draw like this. So let's just stop here. Let's say we stop here, for instance. So let me just even stop here. Right. That's it. So we already have like a first. So you can also reduce the rounded corner how you want it, like just using this yellow circle. So I want it to have like a white color, right? And should have like a green outline. Unlike the way it is looking like this, I want to like format it. So come to click on it, then click on shape format. Then I want it to have like a white color. Then the outline should be green. This is as simple as that, right? So I want it to be in three forms. I will just duplicate it. So click on it, then press Ctrl D on your keyboard to duplicate a particular shape. So I press Ctrl D. I was able to duplicate. I will now drag it to a particular place I want it to be, ensuring that it aligns with the first one. That's it. I will press Ctrl D again. Now, once I press Ctrl D, look at what Excel is going to do for me. Excel is going to help me place it to the corresponding. So when I duplicate this one and I drag it to this place, Excel already record the way I drag it. So when I now duplicate another one again, it was able to sense that same way I drag this one and then help me to place it in the same way, the same manner, the same gap that this one have. Automatically just give them that gap as well. So we already have it. You can see that they are already aligning, right? So we are done with our first wireframe, the first three that we have here. So this is a slicer. This one automatically, it always has its own wireframe. So we don't have to draw a wireframe for this one. However, for these three other ones, we can also do a wireframe for this one. How do we do that? So come here again, right? Then let's say I can duplicate this one by pressing Ctrl D. So in this case, I want to put it down below like that, ensuring that it aligns with the first one at the top, right? Then I can drag it like this, or let me say something like this. I can press Ctrl D again. So because Excel noticed that I drag it down, that is why it's also placing it down. No, the first one that I duplicated, I drag it down, right? That is why when I duplicate it again, it also like take it down. However, this time I want it to be in this place, right? Just here. Then I can do, yeah, so we have something like this. I can now duplicate this one again. You can see it was able to notice again that I placed it by the right. So automatically it helped me to place it by the right. So I can place this one to be at the top like this. You can have your own wireframe depending on how you want your own settings to be. That is why you must have noticed, like you must have draw them down in your notebook before you even start bringing your reports inside this your dashboard. You can probably like jot it down already, right? But this is the way me I want my wireframe to be. Your own case can be different. You can place it like you can arrange it the way you want. So now that we have our wireframe in place, I think that's all. Based on the report that we want to create, that's just the wireframe that we need, everything that we need. Now, the next thing is now to bring our reports in. So we want to place our reports inside this dashboard. How do we do that? Now, one thing you have to do first is that you have to come to your Insert tab, then click on the text, then click on text box again. So if you come here now, you can drag that text box. So first of all, I want to write the title like this before I will now bring the number as well. So I can write the title. I can just say total sales, right? Total sales. So you can see that this text box also, it has like an outline. It also has a color. So I don't want all of those things. So I will click on it. I will ensure that it's not blinking by clicking on the outside of it. Then I will come here and say open sans to change the font of the title. Then click on bold, right? Then I can increase the size, put it at the center as well. I can also change the color using this to something like green. Do you see that we have something like similar to that as well? So you can just all of these things are just like you trying to try things out. However, if I should look at it again, I still have like an outline, the shape. So what do? I will come to shape format. I don't want the outline. I will just click on no outline. I also don't want you automatically whenever you create a text box, it always gives you like a white color in the background. I also don't want a white color. I'll just come to shape fill and I'll click on no fill. And we are done with that title. I can increase it a little bit to make it bold or elegant rather. So I can place it at the center. So we have something like this, just like that. So now next thing is again that I have to also draw another text box that is going to undo that number that we have there. So everything is just like drawing text box. Unlike Power BI, where you don't have to do all of those stress. Automatically you can do all of these things yourself by within 5 minutes you are even done with our dashboard if it is Power BI. So like I said, each of them has their own strength. So just continue exploring all of those softwares. So total sales, right? Now we have our sales there in this report as 96,040, right? 96,040. But I cannot, it's not efficient as a professional data analyst to now manually put that number, this 96,040, you should now manually put it here. It does not make sense. So there must be a way that you can dynamically bring that number into this dashboard sheet. So how do you do that? Now, like I'm used to say, anytime you create a text box in Excel, by default, it should be blinking. So ensure that it is not blinking. That's the first thing. You guys should give me like 1 second. I want to automatically create an error so that you guys can see whenever you are creating yours. If you should get that error, you should know what to do. So let me just quickly create that error. So now I've already ensured that this particular text box is not blinking, right? You can see that it's not blinking. Now come to your formula bar that we have here. This formula bar, we call this one formula bar in Excel. Then press equals to. So once you press equals to, click on the report sheet. Then press that number. This number that we have here. If you should press enter, you will get an error. The error is talking about this formula is missing a range, reference, or a defined number. That's the error that I intentionally just set now. So some of you can get that error whenever you are trying to do your report for the first time. So how do you solve that error? Come back to your report, right? Let me just remove all of this that is here. So come back to your report sheet, then click on any of these pivot table, any of these reports, click on any one of them. Then come to pivot table analyze. This one that is here, pivot table analyze. Then come to your pivot table. Then click on this option that we have here. Now ensure that this particular option, generate get pivot data, ensure that it is not marked. So how do you do that? By just clicking on it once. If you just click it again, it does not have that mark again, right? So that is the only way to solve that error. So if I should now come back to my dashboard, my text box is not blinking, then I have to click on here, then press equals to. Then I will come to my report sheet. I will now click on the number again. So if I should press enter now, you can see we now have our number there automatically by default. So I can now also format the number by just clicking open sans, all of those things, centered, bold, increase it a little bit. So all of those, so just explore, right? So if I should look at this particular text box too, it has an outline. I don't want to have an outline. How do you do that? By clicking on it, go to shape format. I don't want to have a shape fill. I will remove the fill. I don't want to have an outline. I will remove the outline. And that's it. So I cannot place it properly to ensure that it's at the center of that wireframe. So we already have our report, our first report in the dashboard. Consider that is just simple. Don't forget I mentioned as a data analyst, you should be lazy, right? If I want to do the same thing again, this one, total profit and total quantity, it will still be the same process that I just follow to create this one. So why can't I just copy and paste this one live and direct instead of me trying to now say I want to draw a text box again, then now select blah blah. It can be stressful. I mean, for me, it is. So I will just select this one. Then I will press Control on my keyboard to select both of them together. I will now click on this one. You can see it has helped me to select both of them together by just using that Control key. Then I can now press either you press Control D to duplicate, or you can press Control C and Control V together. But in my case, I just press Control D and it helped me duplicate them. So I'm going to drag it to this second one here. Chaka, easy peasy. So, but for this one, it is profit. So I'll just let it. I'll now say total profit. And I can just increase this one a little bit. However, this is not the total profit that we have, right? So I'm going to select the text box, ensuring that it is not blinking. I will now come to my formula bar. I'm going to remove all of these things. Then I'm going to remove it, right? Then don't forget that we have to always press equals to first. Then I'll come to my report sheet. Then take this number, total profit, then press enter. Now, because you just enter the number, automatically Excel is going to help you. It's going to give that format a default format. It's not going to maintain the same format that you've already given it. So, ordinarily, I have to now start saying open sans again, bold, center, this thing and that, which can be stressful. So, as a data analyst, always find the most easiest way. Because I've already done the same format in here, right? In Excel, there's something we call format painter. So because you already have the format here, you can copy that format and paste it inside this one. It's going to help you like copy the format and paste it. So how do you do that? Select this first one, then come to this home tab here. This home tab, you will see this painter. You can see like it's a painter icon. Click on it, then click on this one. Just click on top of it. You can see the same format has been applied. So ordinarily you'll have been saying open size, the size, center, bold, all of those stress. You don't have to stress yourself, right? Then what do I do again? Use my control key to select both of them together. Then press Control D. Then drag it to the third one again. So for this one, we have what we call quantity. So let me just select this one and say quantity. So how do we do this one again? Click on this, remove everything here, then press conc equals to, then come to your report, select this one, then press enter. Then because it has changed the format to default, I've come here, then I'm going to use my home tab. Under the home tab, I'm going to use my format painter, then select this. You can see that all of these things is just by doing one of them, you are able to like cover the remaining part. So we are done with the first 3 reports. We've been able to successfully create the first 3 reports in our dashboard. And now we can successfully move to the next 3 reports successfully, like easily. Please let me know if you are getting it. Just give it a thumbs up so I can know if I'm not just the only one following or just talking. Oh, very good, Ian. So, other guys, are you guys also following? Are you getting what I've been explaining so far? Hope it is getting more interesting. And you guys are not saying that's been overwhelming. So the point is that all of these things, because probably it's your first time, it can be kind of confused and you may be confused and all of those things. So just know that you can always watch the video and over and over and again to practice. Practice is what makes you a better person. You can even know it in this class. And trust me, take it days after, 5 days after, you can forget. So always practice and practice over time. So, all right, so let's now continue and to complete this other report that we have. The first one is sales by country. And you can see that this one is already in a chart. Unlike this first one that is in number, this one is a chart. So that means that we have to draw a chart. And how do we do that? Come to your dashboard, then go to your report sheet. This is our report. Now we want to use to generate the chart for sales by country. So how do you do it? So just click on that report, right? Then click on Insert tab. You will see charts, this chart. So click on this icon here to select the dialog. It's going to bring a dialog. So what we are interested in is to draw what we call a bar chart. A bar chart is that one that used to go horizontally. A column chart is that one that used to go up like vertically. So but what we want is a bar chart like this. Then press OK. And we have what we need. So the next thing is now for us to now start formatting into what we actually want. Right. Now, in my own case, I don't want all of these titles, some of sales, country, all of these things. So to remove them, I'll just click on this. So once you draw a chart from a pivot table, by default, you will see something like this, feed buttons. So it is active. So currently, I'll just click on it to make it in. You can see that it's no more, does not have this kind of gray color anymore. So it has removed all of those things. Also, all of this label, 5,000, 10,000, I don't want them. I can just click on it, then press delete key on my keyboard. This total, I don't want it. Just click on it, then delete it. This slide that is here, I don't want them. Just click on any one of them, then click on delete. So this total that is here, I want to edit. So just double click on it, then say sales by country, top 10 sales by country, top 10 sales by country, just like that. So you can now select it, then format it the way you want. You can put it as open sans, increase it a little, okay, reduce it rather, then give it a green color. You can put in it, right? So just walk around it, and that's it. You are done already. Top 10 is by country. For this one, all of this legend, all of this ASICs too, I also want to format them to be open sans. So you can click on any one of them, then click on open sans. Automatically is going to give them open sans like that. You can also reduce them. Now, this blue, by default, when you create a pivot table like this, you'll be seeing this blue color. However, I want it to match the color that we are using, which is green. So I'll just select any one of them. Then here, I will select fill. Under the color, I will select this green color. And that's it. If you're unable to see this particular right thing here, this one here, you can right click on any one of them, then click on format data series. By default, it will bring you this part, this right one here, and then you can select this first one and select your fill color. Also, you will notice that this particular chart, it has like a white background, and it also has like an outline. And don't forget that in our dashboard, this is where I want to place that particular wireframe, that particular chart. So since we already have this wireframe to have bright color and also a green outline, then we don't have to have like an outline for this one, the fill. So I'll just select this first, this one, this chart area. That will say no fill. I will also come to border. I will say no line. You can see. So once you are done with it, then you can now press Ctrl X